Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit tre.radio.
TRE in the afternoon. Presented by Hannah Murray.
Good afternoon. You are listening to Men Talk. With me in the studio today is Hedley Smith, Michael Senka and Chris Arms. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Thank you all for coming in. If you are listening at home and you want to get involved, you can. Here's how.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95.
What a beautiful day. It's a wonderful life.
There is an article about pets, and it reads, Britain's pet owners are going to extremes when it comes to coddling their furry friends, kissing them, singing them to sleep, and even taking them on date nights. More than 1/3 of owners admit to massaging their pets, while a quarter of us bake them birthday cakes, and almost 1 in 5 reads them bedtime stories. Can you relate?
Our Labrador might be a spoilt Labrador, but he's not really that spoilt. He doesn't get massaged. He does get bathed, but that's usually because he's rolled in something that's particularly antisocial.
That's fair enough.
I think that's fair.
So when you say spoiled, what do you mean then?
He basically sleeps where he wants.
Okay,
which is typically, and if you sit where he wants to sleep on the sofa, he will sit by your feet, and the minute you move, he'll steal the slot. And when I left the house earlier, he was stretched out across a double bed. He's the only he manages. We've got a super king size bed, and he still manages to take the entire bed.
Amazing.
So that'll be a yes then.
He doesn't get massaged. He certainly doesn't get a birthday cake.
No,
because he's a Labrador, so he's food obsessed. So if a birthday cake would last about 30 seconds,
you missed out the bedtime stories.
Yeah, what about the bedtime stories?
Doesn't get that either. No, definitely doesn't get one of them.
I'm trying to think what would be a funny bedtime story for a dog. There must be a joke in there.
Spot the dog. Yeah, anything about dogs or cats, I suppose.
I mean, we lost our dog last September. He was 18, so he'd had a great innings, and he was just incredible. He had the most, and just the thing, he just was so ridiculous. His name actually was What. What was his name? Was that, for 18 years? 18 going, what? Yeah, what?
What?
Yeah, for 18 years. That was his. We got him when he was just about a year old, and that was the name on his passport and everything. And what just did as he wanted. What slept where he wanted, ate where he wanted. When he went out, I actually went up a rank when he passed away. I got back into 3rd position.
Nice. Silver linings and all that. Yeah. No, I can't imagine doing any of these things in the article.
I have to say, I like when people kiss the dogs. Have you seen that thing? Oh my god! And
on the mouth?
And the dogs is licking the face and all that. And I'm like, That's,
I don't understand.
But there's loads of people do it. And I think it's really cool.
It's cute. And
I've got a couple of cats, by the way, and if anybody wants them, they're welcome to them because they drive me insane.
Oh no, really?
Oh man, they're killing me. Yeah.
Why?
They're just naughty all the time. They're just up to no good. I'll not tell you what one of them did in my shoes the other day. Right?
I can guess
now.
But honestly,
wasn't tied the laces up, was it?
No, I do like them, but they're driving me potty. They're not getting any bedtime stories, I can tell you.
I had a really special cuddle with my cat before I came to work today. It was the kind of closest we've got, because our cat adopted us about a year ago, just wandered into the garden and kind of never left. And initially you couldn't go anywhere near her because she'd hiss at you and she just wanted food, and that was it. And I'd go to pick her up and my husband was going, "Don't pick her up, Tommy, she won't let you pick her up." Now she sleeps on our bed, and I do pick her up, and she's literally every day you see a difference. She likes to be touched more and more, because initially, well, not initially, but kind of halfway through the process, you'd stroke her and she'd immediately, get a bit defensive and she'd jump off the bed or she'd change position. But now she was laying on the bed and I put my head on her body and was stroking her and she started purring and she liked it, which is a real progress.
Your face there, it's just delightful.
Did you give it a kiss?
I did. I kissed her on the head, not on the lips.
There was no
lip
lips.
kissing, just on the head.
And we had a cat like that, but when you'd give her a cuddle, and then after about 5 minutes of purring, she'd go and take a chunk out of you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You never know.
I've never been a cat person.
I've never been a dog person. It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've never had... Me, my husband, my parents, his parents, none of us have ever owned a dog, which is really, really rare. Yeah. And that's just a weird coincidence. It's not that we all have a thing about dogs. Not at all. It's just never kind of,
dogs, they're nice. They're good company. They just... they sit there and they snuggle up and and you go for a walk with them and you can talk to them and my dog I had before, you could just say to him, "Do you want to go for a walk?" And he'd go, "Well, so go and get your lead." And and he's actually sort of
have a chat.
We don't need a front doorbell. We have it. It's on four legs and barks.
Right. Yeah, so it's good. You've got like a guard dog.
Yeah, our one used to go, when we lived in England a long time ago, he used to wait for the postman, and as the letters came through the door, he jumped up at the letterbox and ripped them out of his hand.
Brilliant. Okay, this is an interesting one, all about trying to be happy. Apparently, it's making you miserable. It may depress the booming self-help industry, but pursuing happiness is making us miserable, research has found. By constantly seeking to improve our mood, we are draining our mental resources and reducing self-control. It also makes us more likely to be tempted into poor decisions that leave us feeling worse. The problem is called the happiness paradox. I read this and thought, I don't kind of remember consciously trying to do something in order to make myself happier. I don't know whether that's just me. I feel like it's just general life choices that we make every day. I don't think,
Hannah,
what am I going to do to make me happy?
What's my nickname?
Mr. Grumpy.
I actually, write a column about being grumpy. Do a radio show about being grumpy.
Maybe you could do something more to be happy then.
Then you'd be unemployed if you become happy.
I actually don't. I think if you got to work at being happy,
that's going to say
it's not for me.
Nah, it comes natural. It's got to be. It's a natural thing.
It seems a bit of a strange thing too. It's like, I want to go and be happy today.
Yeah.
I mean, who gets out of bed saying that? I don't know. Maybe I'm strange, but it just seems kind of. It seems a weird thing that people actually have to concentrate and make an effort to being happy.
I mean, thinking about it, if I'm feeling a bit low, if I'm feeling sad or just feeling a bit low, then I will consciously do things to pick me up. I might watch some Friends on telly because I know I'll be laughing within a few minutes and that will make me happier, I guess. So I suppose there are things, or go for a walk outside, or get together with a friend, so I suppose there are things that we might do if we are feeling a bit low to be happier, but not on a regular basis, I don't think.
Get off your face.
I was refraining from saying that. Have a glass of wine. I was trying to be good, but that could happen too.
Chocolate.
Yeah.
Chocolate, cakes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I could just sort of go from... I mean, I couldn't watch the news, like what's going on in the world, and then all of a sudden think I'm miserable. Yeah, I know why you're miserable. Just watch the news. What's going to make me happy?
Have a piece of cake.
Have a piece of cake.
How about if you have a piece of cake whilst watching the news?
Yeah, that's all right.
That'll make a difference. It won't be so bad. Okay. This is an interest. Have you heard of the expression "the ick"? Somebody giving you the ick.
Yeah,
I've heard of it, but I'm not 100%. Is it like they're giving you the ump?
No. So it's basically they talk about it in dating shows and things like that. So you could be on a first date with someone and you think, oh, they're really nice. I really like them. They're good looking, and you've got good banter. And then they might do something, and you're like, nah, done. It could be the way they eat or something. They might eat and get food all over their face, and you're like, right, I actually actually don't want to pursue this any further because they've just given me the ick. So it's basically something that makes you think that you can't be with that person anymore. It could be anything. It could be them biting their nails. It could be them picking their nose. It could be the way they eat. It could be how much time they spend looking in the mirror. It could be all kinds of things because it's a personal... You're laughing so much. It's a personal thing, the ick, and I feel like Headley has a story about this.
You still haven't said what it is.
Well, I think it's
just explained.
That's it.
No,
That is the ick,
that's
something
giving you
that-
the ick.
Yeah,
it gives you the
something
ick.
that makes you go, oh, that's horrible, that's weird, I don't like it, I don't like them anymore.
My daughters told me about the ick some time ago, and because they were in a relationship with someone, and I said, "What's up?" She says, "I've got the ick," and I was like, "What's the ick?" And they were like, "Well, he just irritates me. He just does this thing, and he irritates the life out of me."
Yeah.
And that's like, it's like once you got the ick, apparently
It's difficult
It's game
to go-
over.
Yeah.
Sarah, I understand him because Sarah talks about it because she went out on a date. She was on one of these web
Dating
apps,
sites kind
yes,
of thing, yeah.
swiping left and right.
Right, yeah.
and she went out. She met up a guy, and he only ate mackerel. She's gone on a date. He only ate mackerel. That was it.
Yeah.
And he's only ate mackerel for the last 10 years. And there was another guy.
Oh, I couldn't cope with
another
that.
guy she's gone out with. They're in the middle of a meal, and he gets out his Monzo card and starts looking at it, and he's on his phone. And she said, "Is everything okay?" She said, "I just want to make sure I got enough money for another Coca-Cola."
It just sounds. Yeah, it's the.
So I think that's that. I think I've got what the ick is now.
Both of those things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the old-fashioned way of saying what that person does that annoys you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like.
Yeah.
You can't get apparently once you've got the ick, you can't get over it. It's done.
Yeah, it's-
done.
right.
It's done.
Does it stand for something?
No, it just ick as in ick.
It's an
Yeah.
ick.
It's a permanent annoyance rather than something
Yeah.
you
It
get
just
over.
gets worse and
But
worse.
I
and
feel
worse,
like it's
apparently.
something that happens early on in a relationship. You're a bit screwed if you get the ick after like 25 years of marriage kind of thing. That would be a bit of a problem, I suppose, to go, oh, I can't stand the way he eats, I'm done. You know. So it's something that you'd hope that you'd clock onto straight away and then realise, yeah, this is going to be a problem moving forward.
But you can't turn around and say, "Excuse me, I don't like the way you dribble when you eat." Can you? You couldn't say that sort of.
Well, some people would, but some people wouldn't. I don't know. That's a personal thing. Normally, people just go, "I'm just going to the loo," and then don't come back.
Yes.
If it's an early dating situation, that's so I've heard. So I've heard. That's what people do. Yeah. So, can you think of something that might give you the ick?
With who?
Well, yeah, no, I don't. No, I don't mean your.
I've been with Patty.
Yeah,
for
I don't mean your.
40
Yeah. I don't mean your
years.
personal situation. No. Please don't talk about your own personal situations. Just try and imagine. As weird as it would be, if you were out on a date with a new woman, and you're thinking, oh, she seems nice, and you know you're having nice conversation, and it's going really well. Is there something that she could do that you'd be like, I'm done?
It probably shows how long it was the last time we all dated.
You're trying to imagine what it would be like.
Can I go back 30 odd years?
Yeah, someone said to me recently, what do you look for in a woman? I a pulse.
Oh, come on.
I guess, I can't.
Or what about imagine talking to one of your kids or something, and if they were telling you about being on a date with someone and they did something, is there anything that you'd think, oh, that's not right, that's weird, that's kind of odd?
Their date? Well,
Yeah.
I just told you that only eat mackerel.
Oh, give me something here, come on.
Well, if the smell, that's not going to help.
Yeah, that's
bad
not good.
breath.
Yeah.
Halitosis.
Body odour's not great. It's not
Yeah.
great.
Body odour's not going to go well.
Yeah,
I
body
don't know.
odours, that's a good one. Well,
Biting
not.
the nails, maybe, or picking the toes. I don't know. Things like
Well,
that.
at the dinner table.
Oh, God. can
Not
you
on a
imagine?
first date.
Yeah, that would be so wrong.
I think there's a million things, really, isn't there?
Yeah, the more you think about it, the
When you
more...
start thinking
yeah.
about it, yeah, it's like...
Yeah, definitely. But smell is
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This is a funny one. So, have you heard of the website Mumsnet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, a thing online where people talk about get advice for things and ask questions and that kind of thing. There was an interesting article that talked about some of the articles or questions that people have put on Mumsnet that has got the most traction. One of them was, can you get past the ick, which is where this came from. Another one was to do with bill splitting, which we've talked about many times on this show, so apologise if you've already done this. But do you have kind of hard and fast rules in your head as to what should happen if you go out with a group of friends, a group of people, and the bill comes?
Just divide it up by the number of people. I think
always.
I can't think of. I mean, probably many years ago there was the conversation along the lines of, well, I didn't have the calamari, I'm not paying for the calamari, and all of that kind of.
What if you've got people who aren't drinking and people who are drinking a lot?
Patty and I don't drink alcohol too. I haven't had a drink for nearly 30 years.
Yeah.
So we only drink water or soft drinks.
Yeah.
But
now I know why you're grumpy.
Yeah, but I only stopped drugs 10 years ago.
They reckon not drinking doesn't make you live any longer, it just seems longer.
No, yeah, you're right. So our rule is, whatever the bill is, if there's 10 of us, then it's split 10 ways. You know,
so you still feel like that, even though you know you've spent a lot less?
We've learned over the many years that when we go out to a meal with other people, it's going to cost us more than when we go out for a meal on our own, and we accept that because otherwise you don't get invited. If I was to sit there, can you imagine me sitting there going, "Oh, you had a Bacardi."
Grumpy and mean. That's not going to work.
No. One or the other's fine, but two together. I mean, real trouble.
I can't see that. So and also I hate it when the bill comes up and there's and people are dwelling and holding back and or someone starts looking at the bill and does what you just said. I had this, and
there's nothing worse. It just murders the night. People start getting the calculator out. It's.
I mean, sometimes. I mean, it does happen that we go out with people, and they'll turn around and say, "Oh, we're going to give an extra 20 or 30 euros because you didn't drink."
Yeah,
and that makes me feel even worse.
Oh, really? I think that's really nice when people do that.
But it is lovely, but it doesn't make it's lovely for them. They feel good about it, but I don't.
Why don't you? Surely it's nicer that you're not paying for everyone else's drinks.
No, but it's almost me. It's without me saying it. It's me saying, I didn't have anything to drink.
Oh, no, I think it's nicer when people say, if you're saying it yourself, then it might come across as whatever. But if other people say, then they're being caring. I think they're thinking it's not fair. If people have been drinking champagne and loads of spirits and stuff like that, people can spend especially depending on where you go out, it can be really expensive to go out and have a lot to drink. And if you've got someone that's had 2 waters,
it can be really expensive going out and not having a lot to drink.
I think it's.
I think it's nice to. I always like to acknowledge if there's people who haven't been drinking. I think it's nice to acknowledge that and say, listen, you just do 20 ahead and we'll do 35 ahead or whatever.
But it's typically, I think it's one of those things that kind of works its way out, because sometimes we'll go out with friends and somebody will be driving so they won't be drinking, and the next time somebody else will be driving, so it kind of almost works itself out most of the time, I think. So it does
if people take it in turns and things, definitely.
But what I didn't tell you is we only eat lobster.
Well, I think there can be exceptions to the rules. Talking from personal experience, I remember years ago when I'd had a little bit less money than I do now. I remember going out with a group of girls who'd come over from the UK, and I didn't know them that well at all, and they had a lot more money than I did, and I went out with 50 euros thinking, oh, that'll do me for the night. And we went to this restaurant, and I looked at the menu and saw the prices and thought, oh, I'll just have, a spaghetti with pesto type thing. So I ordered one of the cheapest things on the menu. I had a glass of wine, and I just had in my head, okay, that's fine, because we'll probably go for drinks afterwards, so I'll have money left over to get a couple of drinks if we go to a bar afterwards. They all ordered what's it called when you have steak and seafood? What's it called? Surf and turf. They all ordered a surf and turf. They all ordered bottles of champagne, and the bill came, and it was like €85 a head. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do here. And there was one of the girls that I knew, but the others I didn't. So I whispered, I mean, they were all pretty drunk because they'd been drinking a lot. So I told her the situation, and I was really, really embarrassed because I didn't have a card with me. I literally just had the cash. This was about 20 years ago. And she said, oh, don't worry, just give us 20 and I'll tell them that it's like 120 a head and they won't even care. So that's what she did. So it was fine for me. I thought that was really nice. That was really nice about it. And the others, they were loaded and drunk, so they didn't know and didn't care. And I had more money for the rest of the evening, so it suited everyone. So I think there can be situations when you can be a bit understanding of the situation. I think that's nice to do. I don't think it should always be split evenly. Okay. You're obviously disagreeing, but
somebody not drinking, there's a point, I think. But if you're out with a group of people in your own mates, you should be able to talk about it, everyone getting upset about it.
Exactly.
I'll tell you what does happen. Like, when I've been away with the boys for like a long way, there's they have a kitty, and they turn around and go, like, don't put in the kitty because you have a bottle of water and a Coke.
See, that's
and
nice.
They have like 10 pints. But
exactly.
then what I turn around and say is, but I still want to I still want to make sure I get everybody a drink. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah, no, I understand that.
So you get all sorts of...
But it's nice. I think that's nice that they think of you like that.
You know what the worst thing is when people turn around and go on, just have one drink, have a drink. Hold on. I don't drink.
No,
but to go on, a glass of wine won't hurt. I said, yeah, it will.
Yeah, that's mean.
I actually stopped drinking because it was a problem,
Yeah.
Oh, go on, just have one line of Coke, it won't hurt.
That's so wrong for people to do that. That's terrible. Because it makes them feel better. That's why people will do that. They feel better about their own drinking if everyone else... That's what that will be. We better take a break, hadn't we? I forgot about those.
Hannah Murray on TRE in the afternoon.
Good afternoon. You are listening to Men Talk with me in the studio today, Hedley Smith, Michael Senka and Chris Arms. This is a weird one. We depend on them as if they were a member of the family. Now our bond with our beloved gadgets has grown so strong that many of us give them nicknames. In fact, more than half of robot vacuum owners have given their device a weird or wonderful pet name like Mr. Cleaner, while 18% have given one to their laptop, and 13% of coffee lovers said they've nicknamed their espresso machine. What?
Yeah, I think it's like, I mean... Well, first of all, we've got a Labrador, so we don't need a vacuum cleaner because that cleans the house.
Yeah.
My daughter has actually named her car, but that I think is the only thing. And we'll occasionally be standing in the kitchen, and Lucy will go, "Oh, that thingy in the drawer there. That's as close as we'll get to naming something." And I'm supposed to remember what thingy is. Mm-hmm. It's probably the different thingy than it was the last time I was told to go and get the thingy from the drawer. But that's probably about as close to naming anything I think we've ever got.
Before I had a car, I remember thinking, "Oh, when I get a car, I'll name it." And then when I got a car, I didn't even think about it. And a few people said to me, "Oh, what did you name your tuk-tuk when you were in India?" And no, we didn't. Well, I don't name anything.
No, me neither.
I've never named anything.
I certainly wouldn't be naming a Hoover or a coffee machine.
No.
What? Really? These people need to get out more. What's going on?
Well, some might say they should get out less if they're naming things.
Stay indoors. It's strange, isn't it? Have you ever named a car, Michael? Carmichael. Oh, that was good.
No.
No?
It's either the... Yeah, what you got? I've got
Who are these people? Are they British or they?
Yeah, British. Yes. No. They're all judgy.
I mean, there was a Hoover or a vacuum cleaner called Henry that everybody called Henry.
Yes, yeah, because that was his name. No, I can't think of it.
Can't relate. Correctly, it should have been Henrietta.
Controversial. Okay, this is an article we...
Now I get why they call you that now.
Oh, we call him other things too.
What things you can't say on radio?
So there's an article here talking about hoarding and decluttering and stuff. We did it last week with the women, and I wanted to save it for you guys as well, because it's talking about women who are more into it than their partners and encourage their partners to get into decluttering. So I thought I'd ask you how you feel about it, whether it's something you're aware of, whether you've ever thought of yourself as a hoarder. Do you find it difficult to get rid of stuff, or are you quite good at going, haven't used this in a while, chuck it out?
I'm a hoarder.
You're a hoarder?
Yeah.
Yeah? Self-confessed.
Mm-hmm.
My name's Michael and I'm a hoarder.
Of everything?
and a drug addict.
Of everything, or just specific things?
No, just things I want.
Might come in handy one day.
I've got, I don't just have a man's drawer, with the batteries in and
you got a man's house.
The broken, the 27 phone chargers that I haven't, with the Nokia 270 I still work on. I've got tins and things, and every now and again I'll have a little clear out. But
you do.
But then as I'm looking through, then I find something, and then I start looking at something, and then there'll be an old magic trick that I tried like 30 years ago, or the juggling balls.
And you decide to keep them?
Yeah, I might have another go, but the leather had rotted, so I threw them away.
Oh, well done.
But I am I'm a holder,
Yeah. What about clothes?
I get rid of them mostly because they either go out of fashion or they don't fit.
Okay, so you're quite good at clearing out clothes.
Yeah, but I have to replace them. Excuse me. There's my first date gone.
Chris, what are your thoughts?
There are... we have certain members of our family who absolutely are hoarders, and it drives my wife in particular absolutely bonkers. And I don't know whether you've ever seen that programme on BBC One, Stacey Solomon.
I love it. I love it.
So Lucy sits there and goes, that gives her PTSD.
Right.
Because trying to deal with the family members that have this problem.
Getting rid of 50% of your stuff.
Brilliant.
But unfortunately, this is one of those things that we as a family are going to have to deal with at some point, probably in the next 5 years, when that person passes on. And there's probably going to be my wife, myself, and my sister-in-law. And my sister-in-law have both said, we're just going to turn up with flamethrowers. But I think it is a problem. I mean, and Lucy criticises me for, why did you keep that piece of something in the wood? It's like just in case. And then you do use them, and then eventually you do clear it out. But I think it is a bigger problem, and people tend to just kind of put it in a room and shut it away, right?
Yeah.
Sarah's great at clearing out stuff.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean...
And does she not inspire you? Because sometimes if you've got someone who's... I mean, that's what this article is about. If you've got someone who's finds it really difficult to get rid of stuff, it's not...
Well, she doesn't live at home, so she's clearing her own mess.
But when she comes over, she doesn't
No.
The thing is, I think living in Spain, it's a little bit difficult to keep loads of stuff, isn't it? I mean, most people are living in apartments, or they live in, the moving house, where they rent houses and move around. And, I think the tip is really to travel light all the time. The minute you've got all sorts of stuff everywhere, it just makes everything more complicated. You got to go and rent a storage room, or you got to go and do this, and just get rid of it. If you're not using it,
so you're quite good at getting rid of it.
I'm great at it. Just chuck it out. I travel light all the time, and I only have what I need, and the rest I'm not interested. Yeah.
But we moved from a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, massive apartment up a mountain to a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom.
Wow! So you must have had to have got rid of a lot of stuff to do that.
Well, no, we actually kept the other flat to keep it in.
Oh, really? Oh, God.
We cut down as much. We threw so much stuff away,
right?
But still got an apartment full of it.
Wow.
You see,
I'd love to get my hands on your stuff.
Even furniture is a noose around your neck, isn't it?
Yeah,
furniture is a noose around your neck. You go to rent a house and they're all furnished. You can't get an unfurnished house.
It's
very rare. It's very rare.
Yes.
I mean, I'm in the game. I know how it works, and to get it unfurnished is rare. So everyone has to take all that furniture out and go and stick it in the storage room, which can cost you $200, $300, $400, $500 a month for a big storage room to keep all of that stuff, and it's mad. And then you've got to put it all back again. So it's best not to have. When I first came to Spain, I brought a truck down, I have all this stuff, and just
as time went on,
just got rid of it all.
You don't need it.
You don't need a lot. No,
really don't.
We said when we finally bought a place down here, we said anything that doesn't fit in, we're not. We thought about renting a storage locker and then realised previous experience with a storage locker is that it sat there for 5 years and we never did anything with it.
Exactly.
So we didn't actually.
What happens?
This is the thing.
Didn't rent it.
But a lot of the things as well here, if you lock it up in a room, it either rots or it gets mould on it.
Totally.
Yeah. You can't store things. Things like Patty kept a few bags in leather, and the leather just crumbles.
But this is the way to get rid of stuff, to go through things, whether it's clothing or ornaments, or if it's in a box, if it's something that's in your wardrobe that you're wearing regularly, clearly you don't even need to think about getting rid of it. If it's an ornament that you like that sits on your shelf and it makes you smile, you don't need to think about getting rid of it. It's when you've got boxes of stuff that's shoved in a room or storage.
What grandma's china is still in the storeroom.
Yeah, you need to ask yourself. I wouldn't suggest people get rid of stuff. You just need to ask yourself these questions. Why is it in a cupboard? Do we like it? Are we going to use it? Do we want to have it on display? And if it's no to all of those things, then why have you got it?
Dinner services are the worst, right? Because they're not here. They're with our kids in the UK, but our parents have handed down. Our grandparents have given my wife and I dinner sets, and we've got and we've got to the point. At some point, we are just going to have to get rid of them. But we have jokingly said to our kids at so if we don't get rid of them when we die, you're going to have to get rid of them. But we must have between us about 6 dinner services that we don't use that we've been given, and we do actually. But we have been brutal over the years. We've had skips turn up and we've filled skips of stuff. Yeah. And then of course there's the conversation about a year later going, didn't we have one of those?
That's annoying.
And you can never actually remember whether you did get rid of it or you didn't. But there's always this nagging doubt that didn't we have one of those? And did we get over enthusiastic when we did it? You never know, right? But
it's so liberating when you do it. If you've got all this stuff that you're not looking at from one year to the next.
Which is
and you open boxes and see it all and go, oh yeah, who was that? Was that my grandmother's or was that your grandmother's? And you don't like it, you could sell it. You don't need to chuck everything in a skip. You can sell stuff, you can give stuff to charity, but if it's sitting in a box from one year to the next,
but the same, even more so with clothes, you scoot past things all the time. You go, what am I going to wear today? And you scoot the hanger and you move it and you think, I've actually moved that hanger now every day for a year.
Yeah. Well, I'm quite good with clothes as well because, again, depending on your living situation, the wardrobes here generally are relatively small. So I have to change my wardrobe twice a year with the summer wardrobe and the winter wardrobe. So I've got stuff stashed in other rooms. So all I've got in my wardrobe are things that I'm wearing currently because of the season. So each time I change it round, I go through every item as I take it off the hanger or take it out of the chest of drawers, and if I know I haven't worn it all that season, I seriously think, okay, am I likely to? Haven't I worn it? Do I not like it? Doesn't it fit me anymore? Ask a couple of questions and get rid of it if you realise you're not wearing it.
The wardrobe thing's interesting. Lucy does that twice a year.
Yeah.
And she sits there, and then what happens is she'll move stuff around, and then the weather will change again, and then she'll go,
that's annoying. Yes. It is difficult with the weather, isn't it? Because it is that time of year when you don't really know. Yeah, it's difficult to plan. Okay, we better take another break.
Hannah Murray, TRE in the afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Men Talk with me in the studio today, Hedley Smith, Michael Senga and Chris Arms. There's a couple of articles here that we did last week with the women, but I wanted to get your opinion on it too. Smacking puts children at risk of significant physical harm, leading doctors said, as they called for an end to the Victorian punishment. The Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health said those opposing a smacking ban should look at the scientific evidence which shows that it causes physical and emotional damage and doesn't benefit them in any way whatsoever.
Oh, you always do this to us. You just.
I often find that men have a very difference of opinion on this than women, which is fascinating.
Did anybody ever smack the kids?
Yes.
Yeah?
Okay. Yeah, no judgment here.
I did.
Yeah, we did.
Just a little bit.
We did, but
I had to sometimes, but it was a last resort. But
and our parents did to us, but I think it's got less over the years.
Oh yeah.
I mean, crikey, when I went to school, I mean, you still the head teacher would cane kids.
Yeah.
So, and that definitely can't happen anymore.
I got the cane every day.
Mm.
I mean, I was actually, and I swear this is true. I was abused child. I was beaten, literally.
At school?
No, at home.
Oh gosh. Okay.
So, my dad would walk in at the house, and I'd be sitting in a chair, and he would punch me in the face.
Oh no way!
I promise. I'm not making this up. I mean,
Michael, that's horrendous.
And my mum spent her whole life apologising to me for what my dad did.
Yeah.
And that's how I probably turned out how I did, because I became rebellious. That when I went to school, I didn't do as I was told, because there was no punishment I could get more than what I got.
Right.
I mean, it was one of I remember one Christmas. I had something called a crystal set, which was pre-transistor radio, and my dad had put it together, and it didn't work. So I said to him, I was about 4 or 5, I said to him, Dad, it didn't work, and he put it on the floor and stamped on it and said it doesn't work now and slapped me round the head.
Oh my God.
So I have a bit of a biased, jaundiced view. Yeah. So but
how did that influence you as a parent with your daughter?
I never laid a finger on her.
No. Interesting.
But and I also get quite, if I see someone in a restaurant or someone slapping a kid in the street, I have been known to go up and say something.
Yeah, not surprised.
But sorry to put a damper on it.
No, thank you for being honest and sharing.
It's horrendous. So I just feel that someone my size hitting a child.
Yeah.
How does that help? Anything?
Yeah. I think that what the article talks about, and what I'm sure people can relate to, is it's the idea of losing control. As you said, Hedley, it's a last resort. It's not, when I think most parents, if they're honest about it, when they have done it, it has been a last resort scenario, and it has been an out of control reaction. It shouldn't be the first port of call. It shouldn't be, don't speak to me like that, slap.
But I mean, when Sarah was tiny and she did something, and I've gone like an impulse is to slap her on her hand. Patty's gone to me, don't you dare, and then brought me back and said, like, after what you went through, how can you?
Yeah, absolutely.
You make me feel bad now.
Oh,
well, I didn't mean to. Sorry. No, but I mean, I have to be honest.
Absolutely.
I've probably corrected my kids that probably twice in the years, but it got to the point where they were just so naughty, and they were just so pushing your buttons and pushing your buttons and pushing your gun. You push it, and then they just do it because they knew you weren't going to take it any further, and then you just had to, and then it was like they went ooh. And that it was like, if you did it all the time, I think that's terrible. But I've probably done it twice once to my son and once to my eldest daughter, who was particularly naughty.
We have a caller on the line. Sorry, hello, you're live on TRE.
Hello, Colin. I just wanted to say one of the best things that ever happened in school was they took away the rights of teachers to hit children.
Yeah.
In my early teaching days, I had the right to punish by way of a slipper, a stick, or even sometimes, I've seen it done, not I did it, kick a child.
Oh, my goodness.
It was totally wrong. But my point really is more that, as much as that, is that as the teacher, you went to, if it was a dispute between two children, for example, intervene as a police officer, effectively. You then took witness statements as a police officer. You then decided in your own head court who was at fault. And then you decided on the justice that should be administered. How many strokes? How hard? Where would they be placed? Hand or bottom or whatever? Bloody hell, it was horrible.
Yeah.
And the best that ever happened was they took it away.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
No, thank you for your call, Colin. Definitely. Yeah, it's so it'll be interesting to see if this gets passed, if it does become illegal to punish your kids.
I thought it already was illegal.
I didn't think you could touch. I didn't think you could touch a kid.
I thought it already was. I mean, it's.
Oh, is it at school or at home?
No, at home.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they're calling for an end to it.
Yeah.
So yes, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
Because kids can bring a case against the parents for that, can't they? I thought they can ring up a child line or what have you and say, I'm being.
Well, I think in what Michael's talking about, for sure, absolutely. If it's something that's happening regularly, it's abuse, isn't it? 100%.
I remember at school, because I wasn't a good kid. I was a naughty kid, but I remember at school they almost seemed to take pleasure in it. But the PE teacher and his slipper was like,
But I think the world has changed. I mean, you can go back, you can look to the way the policing works. I mean, when certainly when I was young, people would clip. Yeah, exactly. Policemen would clip you around the ear, and you actually would rather get the clip around the ear from the policeman than go home to your parents because you're more worried about your parents going to say than the policeman clipping you around. You certainly wouldn't go home and say, "Dad, I got a clip around the ear from the policeman," and because they'd ask, "Why did the policeman clip you around the back of the ear?" Right. So I think the world has changed a lot, and then and as part of that, you have to decide which ones of these work in the environment today.
I had a woodwork teacher, and he beat me with this lump of wood. He had this it was like a little mini baseball bat, and he beat me and went whack, and he gave me such a thump with this thing. And then, but the funny thing was that this was when I was like 14 or 15 or something, and then about 12 years later, he applied for a job at my company. Right, it was hilarious, and he turned up and he was sitting in the interview room.
I'm loving this story.
And he's sitting there, and he walked in. I went, "Oh my God!" And he looked at me, and I looked at him, and he said, and he looked at me, he says, I cannot believe like it's you, And I says, "You're the only person that's ever hit me with a lump of wood ever." Wow. And we laughed about it, and I didn't have any.
Did you give him the job?
I did actually, because he was a.
Hedley, I can't believe you employed the man.
He was more embarrassed about it than me. He was like, "I'm so sorry." He says, honestly, he says, he said we'd be locked up for stuff like that.
We had a physics teacher who had a big bunch of keys. They used to walk around with a big bunch of keys, and you could be right at the back bench in the physics room, and he could hit the person on the head with the bunch of keys, literally the back, and he could do that, and you watched him do it, and you watched this bunch of keys fly across the room, and
that could do serious damage.
We had one with a blackboard.
Blackboard rubber,
and you could see the chalk as it hit. Puff of chalk.
Oh, God, it's terrible, isn't it? We better take a break and a deep breath.
Hannah Murray, TRE in the afternoon.
Good afternoon. You are listening to the last part of Men Talk with Hedley Smith, Michael Senker and Chris Arms. We have 2.5 minutes left. There is an article that said a survey of parents of young children revealed that 75% of them said they are too busy to read their kids a bedtime story.
Yeah, me. Too busy looking on the phones or
quite.
Looking at Facebook or what have you.
Is this something you all did with your kids?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah?
I used to enjoy it, actually. Winnie the Pooh stories, that was it. I used to make up Winnie the Pooh stories in my head. Didn't read that, just
made them up?
Like Winnie the Pooh went to Marbella and he went to the salon and 5 pints of lager and just made it up as I went along. Yeah. Like, go, tell me a Winnie the Pooh story, Dad. And I go, okay.
Again, I think it's just different now. I think parents, it's so many things have changed, and it's a generational thing. I think a lot of kids,
they're sitting in the cot just going like that.
Yeah, or sit there with the iPad and read it. But I think we're all of a generation probably where we all used to read our kids' stories, but I think things have changed significantly.
Well, that's a real because it should be a really a bonding experience, shouldn't it? Instead of letting your kid go to bed with a device, it should be nice to put them to bed and read to them. There's no need for that to have changed.
And you sing them "You Are My Sunshine" and off you go.
Yeah, exactly. Sing them a little song, definitely. I think that's a shame if that's I think 75% is really shocking.
That's bad.
Yeah, I would have thought it would be more of a thing to not send your kids to bed with devices, because how would you control when they go to bed? They'd just be up all night.
Well, yeah, I suppose what age of kid as well. I mean,
to be honest now, everything's done with the phone or the iPad. I've seen like tiny, just old enough to hold their hand up, swiping across.
Oh, really?
There's actually things that fit. Like like I used to have like the umbrella, the umbrellas, umbrellas on the push chairs when you're walking down the street.
Yeah,
they've got like little things that fit on the side of the push chair that you can clip an iPad on, and they're just watching.
That's scary. That is scary.
Percy Pig.
We are at the end of the show today. Thank you all very much for coming in. Thank you to Hedley, Michael and Chris. And Howard Brereton is coming up next with Spain Today. Enjoy your weekend, because I'm off tomorrow, so I'll be back with you on Monday. I think it's due to be some nice weather, hopefully. So enjoy that if and when it comes. Look after yourselves, and I'll be back on Monday at 4.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this programme, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit tre.radio.